Hey, this is Alex Merced, and you're listening to Podcasting and Vlogging School. On this podcast, we're going to learn the ins and outs of recording, distributing, marketing, and monetizing a podcast and or vlog. Beyond what you learn on this show, if you ever need help from Alex Merced to help you start your podcast or vlog, you can look into hiring him over there at mercedbranding.com. Enjoy the show. Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced, and you're listening to Podcasting and Vlogging School. Oh, Friday. But anyways, what I wanted to talk about today was what I'm going to be doing over the next few episodes, just going over the host, because usually that's sort of the first step in setting up your podcast, figuring out what platform do you really want to use. I've done several podcasts across several different platforms, so I'm kind of going to go over sort of the pros and cons of each one. And I'm also over there at mercedbranding.com. I'm going to be building out a page where you can just kind of find the current sort of running list of podcast hosts. So basically, probably the most user-friendly one, the one that's sort of kind of out of the gate, will provide you the ability to have a podcast that's distributed everywhere. Everything you need is Anchor. So I'm going to start off with Anchor. It's a newer, I wouldn't say it's newer, but a lot of its features are part of its newer iteration. And when I learned about it, it was pretty cool because I was used to just sort of creating my episodes and doing most of all the legwork myself. Anchor really automates a lot of that, and it's free. You can upload as many episodes as you want, as often as you want, as long as you want, for free. And they distribute it for you, so you can send it wherever you want. So it'll automatically submit it to Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and several others. It'll automatically, you can set up monetization through it. So you can set it up so that way you read ads, and then the ads, you get paid when people hear the ads. It has built-in in that mobile app, it has built-in features for you to sort of kind of assemble your podcast. So instead of you having to do like post editing where you add your intro and outro music, you can actually add your intro outro music to your library on Anchor, and then when you record your podcast, you just kind of put the pieces in order. So you would say like, okay, ad goes first, then the intro music, then your recording, then your outro piece. You could actually do that. It's pretty cool and has a lot of built-in songs and sound effects built right into it. So it really gives you a lot of tools right out of the gate to really get a lot done. So Anchor.fm is pretty awesome. Now, why wouldn't you use Anchor.fm? Well, a couple of the downsides is one, you can only have one podcast per account, which may not always be the case, but right now you can have one podcast. So if you want to have multiple podcasts on Anchor, you'd have to set up multiple accounts. It's increasing its monetization features. I thought it mentioned that now you do have sort of a method for monthly subscribers, although I haven't quite seen how that works yet. Okay, this is a feature that you'll see on other ones like Podbean that have that built in. What most people do is they'll just use Patreon as an external way for people to become sort of monthly subscribers to a podcast. And so that's one downside, because some people like to have podcast networks where they run several podcasts and whatnot. Other downsides, the stats are pretty decent. Now, if you want to have more robust stats, you may want to have something that's a little bit more beefy. Like I know on Buzzsprout, I get all sorts of stats regarding like where my listeners are around the world and all sorts of other really good statistics. Right now, I don't think the statistics on Anchor are as robust. But really, aside from that, and then you do have the option to manually do your distribution. So if you want to set yourself up on Spotify so you get access to that Spotify dashboard, you can do that. You have the option to do that. But really, Anchor is a pretty all-in-one platform for anyone who's starting podcasting at a pretty awesome price of free. Now, of course, always the fear with a free platform is, will it always be free? Again, later on, a lot of these, and how will they monetize? So basically, one way that I can tell that I guess is going to be sort of part of the monetization for Anchor is the ads. So the benefit is through the way they have these built-in ads. with this built-in ad feature, theoretically, as they get more and more podcasts that are on their platform, people can pay to say, hey, I want to have an ad on your podcast, and then that ad would be available to sort of all Anchor podcasters to add to their podcast, making it easier for people to distribute their ads to podcasts. And if that works out, that would be pretty cool. Right now, the only ad that's been accessible to me has been sort of the basic ad for Anchor itself that plays through. And if you want to hear the podcast, I have one podcast that's hosted through Anchor right now. It's the Alex Merced podcast. So if you want to go to Spotify, Google Play, look up the Alex Merced podcast, you can kind of get an idea to hear sort of what that Anchor ad sounds like. But that's Anchor in a nutshell. It's a pretty solid platform. It has very little downsides and a pretty amazing price point. Okay? So we'll talk about another host later on. I'll talk to you guys at the next episode. Have a great one and enjoy. If you've been enjoying this content by Merced Branding, head over to mercedbranding.com and check out the offers page, where you'll just find great offers from some of our sponsors, such as Amazon's Audible, Bluehost, and NordVPN. Check out mercedbranding.com.